Good, good morning. My name is Melissa Holden, and I still don't have a catchphrase. Sorry. But what I did want to do is share briefly, because this is my channel, so it's about me. It was becoming a platform for other things, and I was like, I don't want to give those things a platform. I know there's a lot of people who disagree with me, and I make it a point not to say things that I believe. So I expect the same of others. But I was thinking, just going, I almost left. Okay, let me explain. There was a comment that was very negative, and it was saying like all these crazy, weird things and stuff. And it was, they were just trying to get the information out. And I can understand that, and I appreciate it. They want people to know all these things because there are a lot of people out there who are looking for the truth. And they think the way to find truth is going to be by thinking. So therefore, whoever can think better than me, and most people, as people have pointed out, that I'm pretty stupid, and I am. I don't understand my brain. It seems to not work the way normal people do, because they'll say the suggestions, all these things, maybe they're not suggestions. Maybe that's my brain. They're thinking that they're suggestions. They don't work. Anyway, people were making these comments and negative comments, and just from those comments, they really strengthened the things I believe, because I am not really smart. And so I was trying to understand everything, and I just can't. So I realized, well, it doesn't matter. Basically, they were saying that people who believe a certain thing are crazy because they believe this. They said, this is what they believe. Do you believe that? And no, I don't believe that, but that's all mental. And I was thinking, yeah, well, basically just by what you say. And I was very close to believing some other things. Not that anyone cares what I believe. It was funny because my husband was watching this other video, and they were talking about, it was some guy making a comment to a YouTuber, and it's like, no one really cares what you think. That's kind of how I feel about my channel. I feel like, well, no one really cares what I think anyway. And there are people that do care what I think, and I tell them what I think. But most people aren't that. But there could be people that do care what I think after I die, because I sure as heck wish that I had listened, as I'm sure we all do, to things that my grandmother told me. Because now I'm starting to see it. They just seem crazy. I was like, oh, that's just something she said. But now I'm starting to think, you know what? That reminds me of the thing that my grandmother said. And I wish that I'd listened. So, for benefit of those people that I am their great-grandmother or whatnot, this is for you. And while I was trying to decide what seemed right and what seemed wrong, I realized one thing. Well, somebody who's out there trying to destroy what other people believe because it's wrong and bad, when there was this other faith that I was studying a lot and I really liked, and they were talking about how we all needed to help one another and love one another. And I was thinking, yeah, now that's what I want. What I like. And why do I like it? I just like people helping each other, and that seems right to me. But then there were some other things that I was like, it was a big red flag for me, and I was like, no. Anyway, I'm not making my point. Maybe I should do this over. No, I should keep going. Okay, so my point was, let me think of what I was saying again. That the way that you believe things, somebody in one of the classes I was taking explained that you believe things three different ways. One of the ways is you understand it intellectually. And that's what everyone seems to focus on. Like, I don't see it, I don't believe it unless I see it. Well, then there's the things that you feel. And I'm thinking maybe that was strengthened a little bit. I kind of was trying to break out of that and be a little more thinking. And then that led me into problems with, like, people who are claiming Oh, it just came unplugged. That's why it got dark. This is going to take forever to upload, but it'll take me 1 second. Okay. What I believe, anyway, is, so what I was thinking, this is the thoughts that were going in my mind, because I haven't considered how to say them yet. In my mind, I was thinking, well, gosh, I really like these people, and I like the way they act, and I'd rather be around people like that. And I was thinking, my natural inclination is to be around people who are kind to one another, help one another. And I was thinking, if anything, somebody I would never, ever, ever, even if I thought mentally that somebody else was doing something wrong. My children are a perfect example. Sometimes I notice the difference between the way my husband handles something and the way I handle it. And I've noticed the way my daughter responds. And that's the exact same thing I'm seeing. That's a microcosm for what's going on with me in this point in my life. When I see a problem, it's like if I want her to do it, you encourage and you reward her for what she does that is good, and then she wants more good, and so she tries to become more good, and then she ends up doing the thing that I wanted her to do. My husband, on the other hand, he tells her, oh, you're stupid, you're gonna fail, you're gonna have to do that grade over again. And you know what she does then? She recoils and comes running to me, which I'll end up with the same result as what he did, but doesn't work for her. And likewise, I thought, there are people out there who would probably understand things, and the things that they believe are mental. But me, it's emotional, and it's like I like that society and the people who are doing good and are trying to do good. And so there are a few things that I don't understand. Well, that's fine. I can handle that. And somebody had said that you need to have both those, and that was why I was trying to get a mental. Now, mentally, I haven't reached it yet. And it just made me upset that people would try to in my mind is somebody hitting it with a hammer, like the whack-a-mole thing. Somebody would take your budding knowledge and try to smash it down because they don't think it's right. Well, who said that they're right in the first place? I'm trying to decide to figure out if something is true. And because that will be required. Well, all it did was strengthen how I feel about something. I feel that it's true, and I didn't. For the longest time, I'd think, I don't feel like I belong here. I don't feel like I belong with these people. This just isn't right at all. But anything, it reaffirmed in my mind that I was with the right people doing the right thing, because these are the kind of people that I want to be around and want to be with. People have always said that about, like, crusades. They say, that's not very Christ-like, or people murder people because they don't believe what they think. That's the same kind, that's the whole thing. Anyway, I had come to a conclusion, and this is the part that is something that I do believe. I have come to a conclusion that no religions are going to be the truth. It's like, okay, best way to explain it is there's this movie called God Is Not Dead, and in it, there's a pastor talking to some kid, and he says, that is because they're facing a ridicule in this teacher. They're like, he's terrible, and he makes people sign something that says that God's dead, and the kid is like having an argument with him, a debate as to whether, and that guy has to prove that God exists mentally, which is something that can't be done anyway. But the pastor that he goes to for some help and some advice on that tells me, he says, it's the only way some people are going to have an introduction. Some of those kids in your class, they're not even going to know about God any other way, so you should be glad that you have, even if you lose, it's good for you to have that experience. And that's the way I feel about it a lot. I think, well, I don't really think any religion is necessarily true. There's a lot of people who say, "Oh, those people are definitely wrong," and these people are wrong. And then there are people who say, "Well, basically, all the religions are exactly the same." And my suspicion is, and this is my mental things that I believe, not what I emotionally or physically or emotionally or spiritually believe, but I think they're all the same, and they're kind of like, okay, I'll explain it this way. I always like to explain things in another way because I don't really understand well enough to explain to you. When I was disabled and I couldn't do things, I was in a wheelchair, and I couldn't take the wheelchair. It's like I couldn't get from here to there. Well, how do you go? Wheelchair. But you know what I decided to do? Get rid of the wheelchair. And I had to learn to walk from here to there. Now, I could just take the wheelchair, but then I knew that if I did that, I would be dependent on the wheelchair, and I'd have to have the wheelchair all of my life. And I didn't want that. Instead, what I chose was to learn to walk. And that's what I believe about religions. I believe they're all like those wheelchairs. It's the ideas, the fundamental feeling of love and respect of others that needs to be, and there's certain ideas that need to be understood, because things are not just intellectual and emotional, but they're all one. That's why we have these bodies, so that we can learn to deal with both of them. So the way that we learn to do that is through religions. Through religion, we learn to serve and to love one another and to live in a society. But that's not ultimately what we need to do. What we need, and we may be entirely wrong about who or what God is. And so I was sharing what I shared in previous videos, what other people saw, and they testified, meaning that they saw. It isn't something they thought up. It's something they saw. They're like, people say you can't believe it unless you see it. Well, these people saw, and they told you. And so I was just sharing that for those of you who are searching. And now my grandchildren and my posterity, I wish you the best of luck in your search. And if you inherit some of my beliefs, then I owe it to you to figure things out and to explain